My mother said I shouldn't take my clothes off for work.
Okay.
Okay.
My mother said I shouldn't, with Sarah and Michaela.
Welcome back, everyone. This is My Mother Said I Shouldn't with me, Sarah and Michaela.
Hello.
And we're with Cal. Here is our producer.
Hello.
With MRO Pictures. Hey.
Hi.
Hey. So we are back to talk about something else in life that, we're just not supposed to do. But we do.
Controversial topics.
We are controversial topics.
Maybe.
Yes. Well, maybe, or are they? Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe it should just be normal in life to do certain things.
Well, I've got one.
Kay's going to start. Go for it.
My mother said I shouldn't take my clothes off for work.
Okay.
Okay.
So, can you explain that a little bit? Because our viewers might not know what you mean.
When I'm doing my coaching session.
You definitely shouldn't take your clothes off for that.
No, like for acting.
Oh,
Right,
For
okay.
Thank God.
acting,
Got it.
yeah. Sex scenes, nudity scenes. Shouldn't strip off, shouldn't have to sell myself. Should I be taking my clothes off? Because some scenes require it. And also intimacy, should I be doing that?
Do you know what, right? This is actually, it can be quite tricky. Because, this whole, what is it, the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing. And what that is all about. And that's all about like the intimacy moments when she's felt uncomfortable and he's...
What boundaries were put in place or not put in place? No one really knows, do they?
Yeah, well, that's it. No one really knows. No one really knows what happened.
And now there's a rise in coordinators.
I have noticed that in all my shoots.
Intimacy.
Even when shoots that I might not have ever had one on, they're on there.
Makes me wonder whether there must have been an intimacy coordinator on that shoot, surely.
There
on
was.
a big shoot like that.
There was.
Oh, was there? Yeah, I can imagine. Because it sounds like I don't know. Right, so it's very difficult because for stuff I was listening to, you just don't know. Obviously, you've got different sides, different people coming at different things, but the evidence that's coming out, I've not really read much about it. It was literally just the last couple of days I've been listening up to see what has been said. But it sounds like it's a bit tricky.
In what way? You're being very vague.
Just like them. I'm only joking. No, they aren't being very big. They're being very, they're bringing out emails and messages and everything. It's going quite deep. So basically, right, so what I seen that I was like, so there's a scene when Blake and Justin, they're in character and they're dancing, right? And this film's about, it's about like, is it like a narcissist? About like abuse, like sexual abuse within a relationship. And it looks like they're improving to dance in that space, and then he comes in to kiss, and then she says something about your nose is, it was like, oh sorry, my nose is quite big or whatever, but he's staying in character as he's talking, and it's actually quite uncomfortable to watch because I'm like, oh god, he's staying in this character of I'm wanting to cuddle you and then he and kiss you and sexually seduce you, and then he goes in and she says, oh I smell a tan, and he's like, oh you smell really nice. Now me looking at that as just a normal viewer, I'd be like, oh god, that's creepy. But me watching that as an actress, knowing that he's improvising, I'm like, oh my god, he's properly in character there. So it's just like, I think it's quite a tricky thing. Like, how comfortable do you actually feel in that moment when you are having to act alongside someone that's trying to pretend that he's this abusive man who's trying to get in your pants?
I remember when I was doing a intimate scene early on in my career, and I'd done one before, and both of us got on with it, but it did feel, it felt like it was handled more professionally in some ways. Not saying that this way, as in with the actor. Like, so for example, we talked about it was with Dan actually. Who was in Tales from Davistown, and I've worked with a lot. So that was like kind of my first kind of scene in that way.
Was that Creature Below?
Yeah. But we were very open and had very open dialogue about, and it wasn't really like a sex scene. It was more like, kissing and then just going on the bed. But then I remember I was in another film where the guy, I felt, got a little bit too much into it. And that made me feel really uncomfortable, because there's getting into it and then there's there's really like, I don't know, like how far do you go with it?
I think you have to agree
Because
on these things, surely.
You do, and the thing is, if you understand the limitations of the camera in certain respects. So if you understand that some shots it's not gonna look so bad in some shots if you're faking it, and you know that, right? You know the difference between like a close up and a wide, and where the shot is. So if the shot's not in my face, I'm not gonna need to do those things, and he knows that surely as well. But it was like every single take, it felt a little bit like uncomfortable because he was really like going for it. And we hadn't really built that trust and had that conversation. And, in his, to him, maybe he was just, getting into it and doing it as realistically as possible.
See, this is what I'm thinking though. He's getting into it, and I think it's quite tricky. It's like, how does that actor work? So I'm like, do you need to fully feel it? Do you know how some people like they go method with it? They're like, I want to fully believe this is happening and this is how I'm going to get the best work out of myself and for this scene and this part, right? What is their technique?
But I was so early in my career then, and actually quite vulnerable. And maybe saying yes when to get the job, or to not pee anyone off, or not be difficult at work. And how often are we like that at work? How often are we saying yes to things and doing things that we don't want to do or can't do or isn't within our remit or goes against our morals or our principles to get work? I actually had an actor the other day ask me, he said to me, Michaela, what do you think like about swearing and intimacy scenes? Like, should I be doing them? He asked me. Like, should I be doing them? I was like, that has to come from you. I was like, be aware that you have to accept the fact that some scripts are going to have swearing in. You might be able to liaise with the director about changing that, the writer, whatever. But if you get a self-tape, you're not comfortable doing it, then you've got to have that exchange with your agent or your representative or whatever and ask these questions. It's not to do with me. These people are I was one of these people, very vulnerable coming into this industry and wanting it and very, very desperate because it is such a cutthroat industry that a lot of people, I think, will say yes to things that go against their value system.
Have you ever done anything you've regretted on camera since?
Have I done anything I regretted on camera?
No.
You know what? No, I haven't. I don't think I have.
I think we've always been because we've always chatted about this. I've always been quite aware of I don't want to ruin any reputation of myself. I think I didn't want to put anything out there that I would be ashamed of. Never. When it comes to sexual things. And I was always aware of that from get-go, from day one. I was like,
Do you think you'd be ashamed if you'd done something like that?
If I think if it's good for the scene, if I think it's good for the film, and I think it was the character, it all made it work and it all made it look, I don't know if it was for the film.
If there was a good reason for it.
So that's the thing. So it took a long time to get there. But if I believed in why it was in there, then yes, I'd feel comfortable. But if I didn't think it should have been in there, I wouldn't feel comfortable. Then I'd be really uncomfortable doing it. However, if you came to me longer than that, maybe when we first started, right? Maybe 10 years ago, and said to me, Sarah, there's this part in this film, it's Game of Thrones, right? You can be completely naked. You're going to have sex with someone, you've got one line, right? At that age, to get on Game of Thrones, would I have done it? No, actually, no. I'm making would I? No, I wouldn't have.
I think
I would have. I think I would have
back then. I think I 100% would. Yep, I think 100%. Me at 24, me very, very young, would have done that.
Really?
Yeah, and then the likelihood is that line probably would have been cut as well.
Well, this is it.
But I probably would have done it. Like, because I was so desperate back then to land the gigs, and I wouldn't have wanted to upset my agent. They'd have been, well, here's me, this is the false narrative that I would have told myself. I might get dropped. I might not get work. This could be the thing that makes me. I might be able to meet the director and they might like me and get me in something else. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity that I could be, saying no to, that could change everything. And that's interesting, isn't it, in terms of like, yeah, what could have been the implications of that moving forward? Like, I'm working with, for example, Natalie Portman, who did the sex scenes, or she did saucy scenes, didn't she? And didn't they go on like porn sites and stuff?
Did they?
So you don't know how that footage is going to be manipulated. And not just in the editing suite, because you've got to really trust how they're going to handle that. in the editing suite, but also afterwards when that film airs, what people are going to do with it.
That you got to, I suppose that's a conversation you have to have with the director before you even start to say if I'm actually comfortable with what this is going to look like. I'm trying to think what my sex scene was.
Didn't you have to do like a strip one?
Yes, I did.
And didn't they ask you to get your boobs out? Oh my God.
It was always but they
asked me. Do you remember?
What?
I auditioned for a role in the same film. I'm sure I did. And she took me into a separate room and she said to me, will you be comfortable getting your boobs out for this part? And I said no, because it was a low budget film. And I was like, you know, you don't know how that's going to be manipulated or how you're going to look and stuff. So I was like, no, I'm not comfortable. And I didn't get the job because I wouldn't get my boobs out.
But isn't that interesting that even at that, you knew, and I knew I certainly wouldn't have done it for low budget, that at that point you wouldn't have done it for low budget.
But for a higher budget, I would have.
High budget, right? So,
And then right now, with everything that I'm doing, I'm working with children. And then what if that footage is out there and it's on sites?
Yeah.
And then would that invalidate all of the work that I'm trying to do in terms of like helping kids with their anxiety?
Yeah.
Don't work. You can't work with her. Would I be able to get a DBS if there's footage like that of me online? Oh, you would hope so, because I've not done anything wrong.
Yeah, you'd hope so, because it was obviously on an acting job. If it was like porn, then it's very different.
But if it gets used for porn, if that footage goes on porn sites without my consent.
Are you talking of like you're showing like breasts and stuff? Or right, okay. So if you've
do you know
got
what I mean?
Like
what
naked,
if, yeah, exactly. Well, so we don't think about that moving forward. We just think about, and the pressure that gets put on some people. I was reading. Let me have a look. So I was reading before on a website, and it was talking about this and certain actors. And this one, Helen Mirren apparently said, I've always had a problem doing nudity. I hated it. She said it's mortifying. She did it because she didn't want to seem uptight. That's what it says here.
God, you've Helen Mirren.
Right.
That's crazy, isn't it? But then this was
Amanda
also different times as well.
Amanda Seyfried, that's not different times. So, and she did it at 19, again, because, you know, similar things.
19, but this is now we've had this Me Too movement. I think that's I think that's had a huge change in the industry personally. Well, I'd hope so. Like, we've noticed there's more intimacy coordinators available on set.
Do you not think women still experience that same pressure though? And men might as well.
I was going to say, I'm sure in the acting world, 100%, it's literally people
I still think that new people working with people who work in this industry, like new people in the industry, I still think they feel very desperate. They're very vulnerable. Most people who work in this industry are seeking validation, want to stand out. You know, a lot of them, this is a massive generalisation, but from what I've seen, really battle with their self-esteem. That's why we go into these industries, right? We want to be noticed. We want to be seen because we feel invisible. And it's targeting these people. So yeah, okay, the Me Too movement and XYZ has happened, but I still think there is a massive pressure on actors, on singers, on anyone who works in the creative arts industry.
To look sexy or be sexy.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
I saw an article in The Sun the other day, it's getting me right going now. And it was, and they were, I can't even remember who the person was, but she was in this pink dress. It was completely see-through. Completely see-through, and you saw her bra and you saw the thing that was on. She looks absolutely amazing. The Sun is like celebrating how drop dead gorgeous this girl looks. It's 14-year-olds looking at that going, for me to look.
She was 14, okay,
so no, she's not.
At her,
But there's going to be 14-year-old kids looking at that, 12-year-old kids looking at that, thinking, I've got to do that in order to be sexy. Same with like lip fillers and stuff, isn't it? Everyone's got lip fillers.
Lip fillers, everything, all of that. Like
my sister,
you've got to do that to look sexy now.
My sister, she hasn't done it, but she was like, considering it. And I was like, you don't need to do that. You look gorgeous. And she was like, yeah, but everyone's doing it, you know, so I have to do it now to keep up with everyone else. Yeah. And I was like, well, what are you teaching your kids? And she was like, well, they're going to see it anyway. Everyone's doing it. And I was like, but you can be that role model. And she hasn't had it done. Fair play to her, you know. My sister's gorgeous. She doesn't need it. But she feels that pressure to look a certain way, to be desirable, and there is this pressure with social media and everything else, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So it's not just obviously actors within their professions, it's anyone who's putting their face online. is feeling this way.
Well, yeah, also, even that, what was that thing? Cal, you'll know the name of this. The thing that, what's his name, that does the Tesla stuff. He has
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. And what's that thing the thing he's got that people can make nude pictures of someone
Oh,
with just
so
a
you're,
face?
you're talking about his AI.
You're talking about Grok on X.
Grok on X.
Which is
Right.
massively in the media at the minute.
That is so messed up though. That should not even be. I think he's now, like, if you pay, you can now pay a subscription, you can still do it. I don't know if that's still the case, but that's what they changed it to.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. Like, what is anybody with all these young women? That's horrible. So you'd not even if you don't do it, as an actress, you could still have images out online that looks like you are completely naked.
You know what Tom did to... this is going really off feast, but he made a video of me using that, of a squirrel kissing my face.
What?
So I love it. Do you know what? That's what I love about Tom. There's so many things he could have done with that, but instead he used it for a squirrel to kiss your face.
Literally, and then he made
How cute is
our
that?
potential family.
Oh, that was weird.
Which I sent to Cal.
Oh, I seen that with the kids.
He made that using that
So,
that
wait,
exact
The kids
thing
were
you're talking
very pretty.
about.
They were gorgeous kids.
I mean,
They were
look like
creepy.
cats.
They were creepy.
Oh, they looked really cute.
They were
Stop
creepy.
it. They look like that college is going to
They
be
were-
like, my kids look at me
Look,
big.
We'll
Sorry.
post a video of it.
If I've got it, if I've got 1 minute when I'm editing this, I'm going to put it on the screen, and then you can see just honestly, they're like lifeless behind the eyes.
On the other side of it, it can be used in quite
even look at us.
and we were all American as well. It can be quite funny when used in an
when used
effective way.
appropriately. Absolutely. But in a world already when
But what about-
women are already, we are sexualised. Where, as you're saying, we've got stuff out there. And again, guys are as well. But like women, you're feeling that you have to be sexy. Now a guy could just take a picture of you and make you look naked. That's literally the worst.
And make you
high
look
school when that
sexy.
happened.
And make you look sexy.
And make sexy
This is
naked.
the thing. Yeah.
They make you look naked and it looks like you're actually completely naked. So imagine being at high school.
But it's not
and having
real,
that happen.
and that's the problem with this fake news, because people see it as real. But then a part of me just went, well, to be honest, that person naked would probably look better than me, so I'd rather that was circulating.
I mean-
but then what does that do? Body dysmorphia and everything.
Oh my God, mad. Well, going back to taking your clothes off at work.
Taking clothes off at work and actually being difficult at work, because with the Blake Lively thing, I know there's different things going on.
Yeah.
But, I don't always... With the news, it's always getting interpreted in many different ways. And I think if it was true, if this did happen to her, she's postpartum, she's going through all this, and now all of this media is attacking her as well. That must be really difficult. And on the other side of things, if it's not true, it's hard to know.
This guy's career's completely destroyed.
Why would she do it though? Why would she say that it happened when it didn't?
So this is what I've read, right? So obviously I don't know any facts or anything, but this is what I've read. So she, right before any of this stuff happened, she wanted the rights to the film, and then she don't think she hasn't got it. She's not got the rights. He's been
And
kept
is that
as
something
director.
that happens normally, Cal? Can you get rights to the film?
He's got the rights to the film. He's got the rights to the book.
Why did
and
she
making
want
the
them?
film? She wanted it. She wanted the film. She wanted it.
There was also arguments about scripts, scenes, and it sounds like
She
the
wanted to
whole thing's a
rewrite
power
stuff.
play.
So then they've went into filming, but beforehand there's messages between her and Taylor Swift that have come out now, saying about mentioning that basically that she just thinks he's not adequate to be doing the directing and all these different roles that he's picked up, because he's directing, starring in it, and he's taken up other roles, referring to him as a clown and stuff. This is before filming, and now then during filming more stuff's come out, and she said that certain things, like it came in when she was breastfeeding, but there's actually messages that have come out now that she said that you can come in, like he said, oh, if you're can I come in, and she was like, I'm breastfeeding, but that's fine, come in. Then she's used that against him. So I don't know.
I suppose, and this is the thing, we're not getting...
You don't know what's really happened, because if you're not there, how do you properly know? And that's, so it is, it's awful. It's
very blurred lines, and I think this is the issue when you're dealing with intimacy, when you're dealing with nudity, when you're dealing... And you know what else it's bringing up for me? Women who have had babies and how they're treated differently at work. And I'm not saying that this is what happened with Blake Lively, but what I am saying is that it is well known that happens, that women who go back to work and have got babies at home, there's evidence to prove that they get given less opportunities, they get given less power, they get given less of the fun stuff at work that requires more mental energy, because they get perceived as like, you're a mother now.
You'll be tired, you're lacking sleep, you've got other priorities.
Yeah. This isn't for you now. You've chosen motherhood. You can't have both. That's what it's bringing up for me. But this is an interesting topic and we'd love to know your thoughts. So if you've got any thoughts on this, put them in the comments below. Feel free to like, share and support us in whatever way you can.
Yeah. And I was going to say, any comments as well. And if you've ever felt forces, if there's any like actors or anyone out there that you feel like you've had to feel forced to take your clothes off, or you felt uncomfortable but you've still done it, that'd be interesting to hear those stories as well. Because with us being in the industry, let's just see if it's still out. Like, I don't know, are these things still happening? Let us know.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.